What's up, everybody? I'm back, and I'm still Sydnee Goodman. A bit ago, I did a video where I ranked anime I hadn't watched, and I kind of just did it because I thought it was funny, and everyone asked if I watch anime so much. And in my ranking, I put Attack on Titan pretty low on the list. So the comments, actually, no one was overly rude or anything, but you know, people were pointing out that Attack on Titan is actually a really good anime, apparently. So I decided to see for myself. There's one comment, Dragon Reaper 763, who said, quote, AOT doesn't deserve a C with a bunch of exclamation points. And I'm here to tell you, you're right. I dropped it to a D. You didn't have the pleasure of watching the whole video, my lad. So thanks for that. And by thanks, I mean, watch the whole video, please. Anyway, your comments convinced me to give it a try. So I did watch the first episode. Let's start there. It's called To You in 2000 Years, The Fall of Shiganshina, Part 1. I think I probably, Shiganshina. I feel like there's no way I'm saying that correctly. According to Hulu, the description says, quote, after 100 years of peace, humanity is suddenly reminded of the terror of being at the Titan's mercy. Ominous, but okay. I also was faced with sub versus dub, which let me just say, I always prefer subtitles when I'm able to, but I honestly just kind of wanted to piss all you purists off and watch the dub version with subtitles. So that's exactly what I did, because I watched the dub version and forgot that we have subtitles turned on Hulu. So I just ended up doing both. Off the bat, I'm pretty surprised it's TVMA. I just didn't think it was that intense or would merit that rating, but onward we go. We persist. It opens with an eerie peacefulness. We see birds, a dog barking, and I can't help but wonder what in the world I'm watching. And then there's a giant hand. The hand is like really big. One might even say it's titanous. It's a real word, but I'm not using it correctly. Let me have this. We're now getting up close and personal with Mr. Titan, and I honestly am just a bit distracted by everything about this. One, he's so big, he does not have any skin, and he has a ton of teeth. Like, how many teeth does this guy have? Then we move on to a shot that shows the back of his head, and is that anatomically correct? So it shows his skull as having two big circles on the back missing, and I just do not think it's right. So I Googled it, don't worry. And it is, in fact, not anatomically correct. I would be hard-pressed. Actually, honestly, I wouldn't put it past this show and just anime in general. I don't know why in my head anime thinks of everything, that there is an explanation to this, but I don't watch anime, so that could totally be off base. I ended up missing this extremely poetic line because I was so enthralled by Mr. Titan.
Home was a pen. Humanity, cattle.
Now that I've finished the episode, I know who says that, and it is poetic, but we'll get to that in a bit. I'm definitely getting Ba Sing Se vibes from the city, but like mini Ba Sing Se, which is an Earth Kingdom city in Avatar: The Last Airbender, but that's not really relevant. So anyway, we all know something bad's gonna happen, otherwise we don't really have ourselves an anime. But before we jump into the action, I just have to, you know, air it all out on the me versus the Titan thing. So welcome to the Titan Roast 2021. The proportion of this guy. No wonder they're presumably super grumpy. Their head is honestly so small compared to the body, but look at that ass. It's a dump truck of an ass. And also, does it have sex organs? Like, do I need to be prepared for a skinless penis staring me in the face at some point during this 30-minute episode? Because quite honestly, I don't like looking at its face, and I don't know that I want to be looking, or rather have a skinless penis looking at me at any point during this episode. Luckily, I don't have much time to think about it because now who I'm assuming is the good guys show up, riding horses, and oh, there's a Titan. It has skin though. Hey-o, that's nice. Now, I know that this is really intense, so bear with me, but for some reason, I just cannot stop thinking about Shrek and the Merry Men. I think it's the costumes, like the green, and in my head, when Fiona beats everyone up, there's less swinging than I remember. So I went back and watched it. I thought there was a lot of swinging. There actually isn't. Anyway, let's back to the anime. So then it cuts to the opening sequence. And before we get into that, it feels like a solid checkpoint to say, hey, cool. I am definitely intrigued by this. I think my first impression of the Titan being just kind of, it's bad vibes. it kind of reminds me of like an empty gas station late at night and you like don't really want to hang out there. You don't even want to get out of your car to like fill up your tank. It's just really picking up on the energy, like that energy specifically, but I'm definitely intrigued by the lore of the Titans. I feel like that's absolutely what this show has going for it. And I'm gonna rag on them just one more time. They look really dumb. And it's not an insult to the artists, but rather the intelligence of the Titans. They look really dumpy and just like really dumb, for real. Like they kind of have this like toddler posture to them. And I cannot overemphasize though how relieved I am that some of these have skin. I do not think I could stomach a cluster of skinless Titans. Back to the opening sequence. It's cool. I like the colors and the lyrics seem pretty intense. You'll notice a theme of this show and my experiencing it is it's very intense. I'm only like 3 minutes into the episode at this point and I am really, I cannot stop thinking about Titans. Like, is there a little misunderstanding situation going on? I feel like it's giving me strong dragon vibes about how I feel about dragons and most monsters, which is usually they have a reason for trying to eat or attack people. And honestly, it's usually because humans started it. Like, it's just not, it doesn't seem like they have this innate thing of just like, I'm hungry for flesh. I doubt that I get the answer to this in the first episode, but I do hope it's something the show does explore at some point. However, I'm not making a commitment, by the way, to watch any more of this show. I don't know if I'm gonna watch more, haven't decided. After the opening sequence, kind of feels more of the same. You know, we get introduced to who I can only imagine they're the main characters, and immediately we're taken back to the year 845. So we have Eren, and I know that I'm gonna say this woman's name wrong. I want to say Mikasa. I know that I'm putting the emphasis somewhere wrong on there, so I'm so sorry for all the hardcore fans, and just like you're probably cringing so hard right now, but I cannot remember any other way to say her name. Mikasa? Mikasa.
En su casa.
It's not Mikasa, so I'm gonna just go with Mikasa. So I'm assuming that they are the main characters. We're in year 845. They come back from collecting sticks and they run into Mr. Hannes, I think I'm saying that name right, who kind of looks like the guy who's billed to play Master Chief in the show, Pablo Schreiber. And they have a pretty revealing conversation. So right after Mr. Hannes offers the children alcohol, you know exactly what happens before every foreshadowing conversation.
How do you expect to fight if you're so loose on your feet?
Huh? Now why on earth would I have to fight?
Why do you think? What if they break through the walls? We'd be sitting ducks on your watch!
That there leads me to believe that Titans are in fact going to break through the walls and that these buffoons won't be able to do anything because they've been drinking. Like, I already watched the episode. I don't know about you, but when I've been drinking, I can't do much of anything. Definitely cannot fight a cornucopia of both skinned and skinless giant toddlers. And it's funny because the words skinned and skinless kind of mean the same thing, right? We're describing the same thing, but you know what I mean. Some of them have skin, some of them don't. Anyways, Eren seems to be holding what I assume are radical ideas and seems pretty fired up about it. I haven't watched all that much anime. I did watch Pokemon, Digimon, and Sailor Moon growing up, and I've rewatched pretty much all of those as an adult. But still, it's been a while, and I can't quite remember if this is like an anime thing or if it's just particular to this art style. But I do notice that there's a lot of still frames with camera movements or panning, which feels very graphic novel-esque. And so in this case, I did look up whether or not Attack on Titan was based on a manga. It is. And you probably already know that there is an Attack on Titan manga. So it kind of would be neat if they did this on purpose to pay homage to the source material, but I digress. After the exchange, we get more of a look of the people living in Ba Sing Se, which based on the episode title, I'm gonna assume the city is actually called, great, I have to say it again, Shiganshina. And the writers from before, which we learn are called the Scouts, are coming back into town, and the mood seems a little down. Eren seems stoked, but the townspeople feel more somber. And then, you know, he realizes what's going on. He isn't stoked anymore. And I can't quite tell if the townspeople are somber because the Scouts have all these injuries or because they just generally don't like the Scouts. It might be a bit of both. Time will tell. We also find out that we're seeing the lucky ones. Sounds like a horrible way to die. Oh my gosh. I hope you just pass out right when you get into their mouth. Like, you don't have to feel every tooth hitting you. And I think it's time for a game called How Many Teeth in This Titan? Not including those of its victims that might be in its stomach if it has a stomach. I'm your host, Sydnee Goodman, and today we're counting, baby. The grand total is, oh, I have not yet counted. Based on what I'm looking at, it looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. 36 times 2, 72, right? 72 teeth, baby. I wonder if they have like baby teeth. That's a whole lot of chewing. Guess us humans are chewy bastards. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time. Well, that was a fun time. Be ready for a less fun time because a mom pops up asking about where her son Moses is. And this is kind of when I knew the show had no mercy for its viewers and is what really solidified the tone for me. First, this asshole who looks completely fine, no injuries. I mean, you know, maybe he has internal bleeding or whatever, but really nothing apparent. He doesn't want to tell the mom, so he makes this guy who, it looks like he just lost an eye, break the news. Okay, guy. The interaction goes on and it's clear that she's upset. So I'm like, okay, you know, maybe it's fine. She seems to have picked up the clues. And he hands her a sack. Come to find out, the sack is actually the woman's dead son's arm. Oh my gosh. Why did you do that? I have so many questions. On one hand, I do admire and I understand that they maybe wanted her to have a piece of her son to bury. Cool, okay. But there's probably a better way to deliver it. And also, are they just lugging around the body parts of the deceased to hand out? No pun intended. We then find out that this guy is so defeated. I mean, obviously physically, like his whole battalion is completely injured, but mentally too. So now we're ish at the halfway point of the episode, and what I'm gathering is that they live in this little city that's not called Ba Sing Se. No one's particularly stoked about it. The Titans are dangerous. There's things in place like the guards and the walls to keep the city folk like safe and not eaten. But they don't seem to take the threat of the Titans really all that seriously. And then there's the Robin Hood looking group that feels kind of badass and they're out there to protect, but and like it almost feels like they symbolize like hope, but things didn't really go well and everyone seems to understandably be in kind of a bad mood about it. After the scouts' bummer of a return, Aaron and Mikasa are walking and she throws Aaron pretty far. She should join the scouts. Then we randomly got hit with some graphics. I mean, don't get me wrong, very helpful graphics, but it felt kind of like just like somebody forgot like to draw the scenes where we learned this information. So they're like, just throw it on a slide. We then meet the rest of the family, assuming that Mikasa is his sister. We don't hear it explicitly, but I would assume that's the case. We finally meet his dad, who's a doctor, and then his mom, who doesn't want him to join the scouts. What I'm realizing about Aaron is he's filled with this like rage hope is what I'm gonna call it, where he wants more for himself and for just like the general outside and like, you know, they don't want to be cattle and to be proactive, which I can respect and got on board with, but he's also like really angsty and loud about it. Like he yells a lot. I feel like he'd kind of be a big My Chemical Romance fan. What do you think his favorite song would be? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so dad leaves. I'm pretty confused about it because I thought there wasn't really an outside beyond the walls, but like how big is this city that there is a ferry? I'm sure that's answered at some point, but you know, just what I'm thinking. I'm taking you through my experience. And we don't know if I'm gonna watch another episode. So we meet another character who I can only imagine is important to the gang. His name's Armin, and he's getting beat up by some bullies.
You resort to violence because your brain's the size of a walnut.
We also have a similar way of insulting people. Fun fact. So in 3rd grade, I got in trouble for telling this kid that his brain was the size of an ant brain, which I would like some credit for because it's actually a multi-layered insult. Not only is the size of an ant very small, but I didn't stop there because I'm saying his brain is the size of an ant brain. You gotta imagine if an ant is small, its brain is probably extremely small. And that was all because I had a crush on him. And that was my idea of flirting. Sorry, Ronnie, 3rd grade was a hard year for me. Anyways, luckily for Armin, Mikasa shows up and this whole thing of people being afraid of her is like really great. I guess she really is that strong. I respect it. I really like Armin so far. He seems to be able to empathize with people he doesn't necessarily agree with, like what seems to be the commonly held belief that all the city people are safe behind the walls and that there isn't a need to go beyond it. He does make an interesting note.
It's sad what most people here are willing to settle for in exchange for some fleeting sense of security, you know? And make no mistake, it absolutely is fleeting. The walls can't hold forever. Only a matter of time.
Has me thinking, like, are the Titans walking up to the wall and just kind of like, oh, this is really strong, we should turn around, like, can't get over this, let's just like go back, go home everybody, nothing to see here? Or are they smart enough that they have a strategy? So I don't know if like they go up and like shake it a little every day until one day it just like they shake it and the whole thing falls over. Long story short, I would like to learn more about the Titans, please. Then shit really hits the fan. There's lightning strike and you can just, I don't know, it's pretty obvious at this point the shit's about to go down and nothing good is going to happen for the rest of the episode. So while it's all happening, I was really distracted by the Titans the whole time. The artist did a great job of making unsettling giants. It also looks like the big skinless guy is maybe the leader or like a different type of Titan. And then there's the smaller naked ones. And this has me thinking maybe the higher you are in ranking, and I hope that I'm correct in this, maybe the higher you are in ranking, the less layers of things you have, you know? So first it's like your hair, your eyelashes, eyebrows, all that stuff goes. And then if you're higher than that, you have like no body hair. And then if you're ranked higher than that, you have no skin. And then the supreme leader has like one more layer of humanity just like stripped from them. So maybe they're just bones. That also feels like it's an allegory. Am I using the right symbolism? I don't know. Anyways, enough theorizing. So Attack on Titan does a great job keeping the mood. I'm not particularly attached to anyone in this. And honestly, I'd have to say, I think Armin is maybe my favorite, and I've known him for all of like 45 seconds. There's something that's translating of like, oh, everyone here thinks they're gonna die and like this is the end. And I like really just had this moment. I think it like pans to Armin's face and I was like, oh my gosh. Like I kind of care about these characters now, even though I just met them and they're slightly irritating. Aaron, I'm looking at you and all your yelling. So Aaron runs to see if his mom is okay, and this moment really got to me. Like, this was a hard watch. We already know their house is not fine, both just from intuition and because when I was doing my video ranking anime I haven't watched, it said in the description on Wikipedia that their house was, in fact, not fine. As he was running, though, I got to thinking, honestly, like, it's probably for the best for everyone that their house just collapsed on her and we're all sad about it. But what I'm learning is that this show does not hold back. Like, we're always going for it 120%. So we see mom under the house and she's like hanging on for dear life. I can hear a Titan coming closer. I swear, if the first person we see get eaten by a Titan on this show is mom, I will not be pleased. I will not be pleased at all. And then I'm confronted that I am watching these kids realize they have to leave their mom because she's asking them to. Damn. This is like beginning of a Pixar movie levels where the parent like always dies, but so much worse. And I also have to lighten the mood just for a second. During this supremely intense scene, I did get the answer to my question, which is that so far it does not appear that Titans have sex organs, have genitals, which is great because I do not want to see any skinless penises. At least not the one, the Titan that's about to eat Aaron's mom. Luckily, Mr. Hannes shows up and I'm thinking like, hey, maybe this guy, like maybe he's cool. And despite his confidence, I do not think that things are gonna get any better. Also, this Titan guy looks like the 5th member of the Gorillas. So Hannes realizes that he can't take the Titan and decides to save the kids while mom is left to die, which like, holy shit. And then Aaron gets to watch the hungry Titan find his mom and all my greatest fears become reality as we watch the Titan rip her in half and eat mom. So thank you for that, Attack on Titan. We even learned the fun detail that in this universe, humans are crunchy. Something about the blood flying around just does a really good job illustrating what it'd be like watching someone get eaten by a giant who has a hankering for human flesh. And that was the end of the first episode. I know technically it's a 2-parter. This was To You in 2,000 Years, The Fall of Shiganshina. part 1. But that's all I'm gonna watch for now. And when I tell you it was not what I was expecting, I guess I didn't think it would be that intense. Like, I knew it would, and I knew that I know and recognize and respect that anime has like really incredible storytelling abilities, but I think I'm so used to watching like Digimon, Pokemon, where it's like, oh, it can get into deep themes, but like everything's always okay at the end. And when I finished watching this, I kind of felt like I needed a shower. I did not feel good. I didn't want to eat anything. And yeah, I guess I thank all of you for getting me to watch this. So have a wonderful day, and we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.